Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy this video, we invite those of you who haven't yet done so, to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the notification icon, to be notified when the next one is uploaded. We appreciate all comments, whether positive or negative, because it is very important to ventilate both sides of any issue. All we ask is that you observe the YouTube community guidelines. We'd like to urge those of you who haven't yet done so, to sign our online petition for an inquiry into the BBC and Channel 4's coverage of Lewis Hamilton and Abu Dhabi. A link has been provided in the description. If you are on X, then please repost our tweet. Thank you. Well, who'd have thought it? Toto Wolff finally confesses that he's glad to be rid of Sir Lewis. It was a team decision to push him out, and they are now free to go in a different direction. Yes folks, he said all that and more. Now why would Toto be glad to be rid of the driver he acknowledged was the undisputed GOAT, when he was withdrawing the Mercedes appeal to the injustice of 2021? Why would Toto, who supposedly believes that he owes Sir Lewis an 8th title, be reluctant to give him a multi-year contract that would allow Mercedes time to provide him with a competitive car, rather than his current tractor? Perhaps Toto did not appreciate the gravity of the confession that he was making during his BBC interview, because he was so badly afflicted by Lewis Hamilton derangement syndrome, otherwise referred to as LHDS. Well, whatever the case may be, we present you with the evidence, invite you to make up your own mind and let us know in the comment section. We have pointed out in a previous video that the mainstream F1 media, who are all afflicted with LHDS, have started knowingly or unknowingly undermining themselves. Like when the BBC undermined Sky when they reported in a post-free practice interview with George Russell at the Dutch Grand Prix that Sir Lewis wouldn't be in the mix during qualifying, even though he had been very much in the mix during free practice 1 and 2. This of course undermined the subsequent post-qualifying Sky Sports report, which tried to shroud Sir Lewis's poor qualifying in some mystery. How did George know beforehand that Sir Lewis would have problems with qualifying? Is he now a clairvoyant as well as a tyre whisperer? Anyway, in much the same vein, an F1 report on Toto's BBC interview exposed his deeply held resentment of Sir Lewis. The BBC interview that was the source of the F1 article was the third feature on a BBC webpage titled Mercedes and Verstappen keep open communication over future move, Wolff. The second article was titled, Antonelli set for promotion. The third article, which was the source of the F1 interview, was titled, Saying Goodbye to Hamilton. The fourth article was titled, Moving on from Abu Dhabi 2021, and the final article was titled, On Mercedes' Return to Winning. Now it is important to note that the first two articles were about Max and Kimi, the two people that Toto, Mercedes, and the F1 media would dearly love to surpass Sir Lewis. This is a stark example of how the LHDS-afflicted media can't stop talking about Sir Lewis, even when they're trying to blow up the person that they hope will surpass him. So, you can see that while trying desperately to blow up Kimi and Max, the BBC couldn't help devoting more time to Sir Lewis. The F1 article referencing the BBC interview was headlined, Wolff concedes it was for the good of Hamilton to move from Mercedes to Ferrari. Now, we all know that you concede a negative thing or a harsh reality. For example, you concede defeat, you don't concede victory. The reporter is therefore of the opinion that Toto had been initially reluctant to acknowledge that it was good for Sir Lewis to move to Ferrari, but has now had to concede that reality. Now, how would the reporter have formed this opinion, if it was not an open secret among the afflicted? After all, Toto has been publicly representing that he wishes Sir Lewis all the best going forward, and they will always be busy mates for life. So, the anonymous F1 reporter had inadvertently exposed the coordinated attempt by the BBC and Toto to gaslight the fact that he was feeling salty about Sir Lewis's departure, otherwise they would not have used the word concede in their title. Toto, who is suffering badly from LHDS, seems dangerously preoccupied with gaslighting the public on matters related to the GOAT. His suggestion that Sir Lewis left for Ferrari because he might have been feeling the need to reinvent himself is reminiscent of the Naked Emperor. For all the tea in Azerbaijan, everyone knows that had Toto met his contractual terms, he was happy to stay and see his career out at Mercedes with an ambassadorship. So, it was Mercedes who wanted him out to make way for Kimi and protect Michael's legacy. Remember how Sir Lewis was the undisputed greatest when Toto was giving away his 8th title, which was the only significant record of Michael that he had not exceeded? Well, what do you know, in this BBC interview, which had nothing to do with Michael, Toto brought him up by suggesting that Sir Lewis was no longer the undisputed greatest, as Michael could also be regarded as the greatest. This confirmed what we have always claimed, that Toto, referring to Sir Lewis then, was consciousness of guilt, and now that he believes enough water has passed under the bridge, he has returned to his true opinion. The 7 titles is the only peg that Toto has left to hang his defense of Michael's greatness on, and this is why he's doing all that he can to prevent Sir Lewis's 8th. One of the clues to the gaslighting in the BBC interview is the multiple references to Toto and Sir Lewis being bitter about Abu Dhabi, and wanting to avenge the injustice, when only one of them was. But here's the clincher: when the BBC's Andrew Benson asked Toto if he regretted that they would not be able to avenge the injustice of Abu Dhabi, he replied dismissively, that it is what it is, there are worse things than losing a race or a world championship. How could Andrew have concluded from Toto's dismissive reply that he was in any way, shape or form invested in righting the injustice done to SL? Would this be the same Toto that was disillusioned hours after his all-night bender celebrating the theft of Sir Lewis's 8th title? Or would this be the same Toto who should have remembered to tell his face and the rest of Mercedes that there were worse things than George's Belgian disqualification, which lost him the race and the 2024 World Championship? What the heck? Mercedes have spent more time and effort gaslighting George's disqualification than defending Sir Lewis's 8. The anonymous F1 reporter does not say anything about Toto and Sir Lewis being motivated to fight the injustice of Abu Dhabi. So, Toto's dismissal of that injustice in the BBC interview provided the segue for the F1 reporter to gaslight it completely. That's Toto for you. All F1 media have reported that Toto let Sir Lewis go because he wanted to bring Kimi in, so his response when asked if he had any regrets about the decisions that led to the GOAT leaving is telling. He was very quick to say no, and claim that it was a team decision. Now, why would you provide a curt no to a question like that? He could have said something along the lines that he regretted not having the opportunity to win the 8th title that he claimed he owed. He could have said something along the lines that he regretted not being able to provide a competitive car to usher the GOAT out in style. You get the picture, right? He could have said something conciliatory. After all, the longest and most successful partnership in F1 was coming to an inglorious end. But to affirm so curtly that he had no regrets, well, that speaks for itself, doesn't it? To then follow that up with the claim that it was a team decision, is just Toto. If you know, you know. There are times when someone gives credit to the team out of modesty, and there are times when they do it because they don't want to be singled out for blame for a disastrous decision. If this is not a case of Toto trying to suggest that he is not the only one at Mercedes that can be classed amongst those humiliated critics who thought Sir Lewis's F1 career was over, then we don't know what is. If that's not Toto saying, "Hey guys, you can't just blame me for this," then please let us know in the comments section. It is instructive that even as Toto refused to carry the can for getting rid of Sir Lewis on behalf of the team, he could not help confessing the depth of his Lewis-Hamilton derangement syndrome. He followed up defending throwing the team under the bus by asserting that there were no bad feelings and no betrayal. Well, The only person who could possibly have bad feelings and feel betrayed was Sir Lewis, and we all know that his Sir rise above it all. So, Toto was projecting, by using that trait of Sir Lewis to assert that there were no bad feelings or betrayal. But critically, when Toto went further to declare that it was important for Mercedes to emancipate themselves and go in a different direction, he took projection to another level. What did Mercedes need to emancipate themselves from? Perhaps from the public goodwill that Sir Lewis enjoys, and the fact that the team no longer needed to cope with the struggle to deny him an eighth. What different direction did they want to go in? After all, the combination of driver and car was a winning combination. Hopefully, Sir Lewis will be able to continue winning with Ferrari, and the Mercedes wish to go in a different direction will be realized. Forza Ferrari.